Cleopatra is one of the most famous rulers of Egypt. There are legends about her rule. After her death, she left behind many secrets and artifacts, one of which was recently found. It seemed like it could change all of history. Let's find out. Last fall, archaeologists were excavating in a national park in Jerusalem when they stumbled upon an interesting artifact, a nearly 2,000-year-old skull seal decorated with an image of the biblical tree, the fruit of which was legendarily used to make ointment and perfume for the famous Queen Cleopatra. Apparently, the artifact could belong to Cleopatra herself. Scientists found an inscription on a seal with an image of a plant, which is a type of cedar simon. In ancient times, it was expensive and was used to make incense. Some scholars believe that Pope Simon, who appears on the artifact, often gave it to Cleopatra and then made a special balm for the queen to use to change her appearance and make her more beautiful and youthful. The artifact could change history, because if we can find this species or at least grow it artificially, scientists will be able to create a drug for rejuvenation. However, many scholars believe that the bar simon is an artifact that has already disappeared, so we hope to plant another equally exciting artifact that may not change the entire history of the world, perhaps just the history of Egyptology. More precisely, it is not only an artifact, but it is actually an edifice, because I am talking about Cleopatra's tomb. In fact, until now, no one knows for sure where the legendary queen lies. Her grave was never found. This is surprising, because scientists were able to find the graves of pharaohs who ruled long before Cleopatra. In any case, Cleopatra's case is already a major advance, and scientists may soon make a major discovery. In 2020, an international team of archaeologists has released preliminary data from a study of a closed tomb in the ancient Egyptian city of Osiris. 2 gilded mummies were found in the cemetery, one of which may belong to Queen Cleopatra. Firstly, this is indicated by the fact that the head of the statue representing Cleopatra was found during excavations at the site. Second, the mummies were originally covered in gold leaf, indicating the high social status of the buried mummies. Third, one of the mummies had an image of a beetle engraved on gold paint. It is a symbol of royal power and rebirth, which was used by the rulers of Egypt. Finally, in the sarcophagus of Aris Magna, the remains of Cleopatra's alleged ancestors have actually been found. Many factors indicate that the queen's mummy has finally been found, which means that we will soon be able to learn more about Cleopatra. For example, we can find out how she died because scholars are still arguing about it, or we can find out exactly what Cleopatra looked like when she was alive. The life of this ruler was unusual, mysterious, and interesting. Stay with us to find out all the most strange, unexpected, even mystical and terrifying details about the life of Egypt's most famous female ruler. If what archaeologists found in the sarcophagus of Aris Magna turns out to be Cleopatra's mummy, scientists will be able to determine the exact cause of her death. Yes, in reality, no one knows exactly what the cause of her death was, but it is known 100% that she lived her own life. Cleopatra did this to avoid becoming a prisoner of Octavian after Rome invaded Egypt. The most widespread version is that she killed herself with the help of a poisonous snake. It is said that the woman's faithful servants brought her a basket of figs, in which were the poisonous creep that bit the queen, and she soon died. According to another version, she took the usual poison that was in his golden dagger. But modern scholars believe that the cause of her death was not the bite of a venomous snake, but rather a whole poisonous mixture of opium, oat, and whiting plants. This makes sense because such a combination causes death within hours without any pain or change in appearance. Given that Cleopatra was concerned with appearance, it is unlikely that she would have subjected herself to long films and physical marks after a snake bite. However, her death remains a mystery. Speaking of beauty, the fact that Cleopatra was beautiful is known to everyone. This is how they appear in movies, cartoons, and books. It is also a common fact that she was so beautiful that men were ready to say goodbye to life with her just for one night. This all sounds great, but as it turns out, it's not true. She may have gotten rid of her lovers all night long, but the fact that she was an indescribable beauty is questionable. A few years ago, scientists examined a 2,000-year-old coin found in 2007 that depicted Cleopatra's face in profile. Along with many other discoveries with photographs of the queen, they discovered that she was an ordinary woman who clearly had not reached a high standard of beauty. She was short and fat, with a long, broad nose, big eyes, and narrow lips, but she literally charmed everyone. Why? It's all about her mind. She was described as an incredibly talented, intelligent girl, with persuasive speech, a confident voice, and an extensive knowledge of astronomy, philosophy, mathematics, and linguistics. She knew 7 to 10 foreign languages. There were no revolutionary translators in his court, so it is not surprising that she was admired by everyone around her. Cleopatra was not only a smart girl, she was an innovative girl who had a huge influence on the cosmetics of her time, and her methods of self-care are used even today indirectly. For example, one of Cleopatra's most famous features is her expressive black arrows over her eyes. The queen painted them not just for the sake of beauty. She knew that coal contains antimony, a substance that helps fight eye infections. This was not rare among all Egyptians at that time. Arrows also minimized exposure to the bright Egyptian sun. She also had extensive knowledge of chemistry, so she was well versed in many subjects. She also knew that honey had antibacterial properties, so she applied it to her skin as a whole. Cream to keep her skin soft and clean, she wipes her face with rose water. Even today, this ingredient is included in most tonics and cleansers. Among other things, Cleopatra was well versed in perfumery. She believed in the power of perfume not only as a cosmetic tool, but also as a tool of political persuasion. Thus, according to legend, Cleopatra doused the sails of her ship with perfume before she went on her first date with Mark Antony to make sure he smelled her before he saw her. Cleopatra was very skilled in chemistry and perfumery, and she even owned a perfume factory. That meant a lot because with her situation she couldn't be bothered. She simply ordered her subjects to have any perfume, but she herself loved to invent new perfumes that would help her in everyday life, as well as in negotiations. It is believed that she even wrote recipes for her distinctive perfumes, but the book was lost or burned in a fire in the Great Library of Alexandria. The ruins of Cleopatra's perfume factory in the Dead Sea near the city of Engedi. By the way, there is evidence that the factory also functioned as a health center. Some of the interior furnishings resemble those found in modern beauty parlors. Marriages and separations. Cleopatra came from the Macedonian Ptolemaic dynasty. Members of the royal family valued the purity of their lineage and practically did not allow themselves to marry members of other families. In other words, the Ptolemies had embraced incest. As a rule, many of Cleopatra's ancestors were associates with their cousins, and her parents were likely brother and sister. By the way, historians believe that incest may have been one of the reasons why Cleopatra's appearance was not actually the most beautiful. Anyway, according to this custom, Cleopatra was no exception in terms of incest. After the death of her father, Ptolemy XII, she began ruling Egypt with her younger brother. Then they married, but they were unable to coexist in a struggle for power, as her brother expelled her from Egypt, and she went to Rome, where she mobilized the support of Julius Caesar and made an alliance with him. The Romans conquered Alexandria, after which Cleopatra began brutally eliminating her rivals. After the war, she married her second younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, but he was also supposedly killed by Cleopatra when she tried to make her son her co-ruler. Overall, she was not only an intelligent ruler, but also a somewhat cruel ruler. The goddess. Cleopatra was a goddess in the literal sense of the word. It was not only because her subjects acted as if she had declared herself to be their own. Loder, the famous Greek writer and philosopher, wrote about this topic. According to him, Cleopatra had a divine manifestation because Isis was the goddess of the ideal of femininity and motherhood. Cleopatra called herself the new Isis and told her subjects that she was the embodiment of this god on earth, and the reincarnation of the goddess. Blue History wrote that she often appeared in public wearing the sacred robes of Isis. In this she was supported by Mark Antony, the Roman political general and lover of Cleopatra, who claimed to be the embodiment of Osiris on earth. This made sense because Osiris was the wife of Isis and the king of the afterlife. In general, Cleopatra worshipped not only Isis, it is believed that she tried on the images of various spending and betting goddesses. Cleopatra not only had divine images, but also possessed divine spending. Cleopatra easily spent large sums of money at her whim and could waste an enormous amount in one sitting. There is an interesting episode involving Mark Antony. Legend has it that Cleopatra once made a bet with him that she could spend 10 million seers in one meal. Scientists estimate this to be around 10 to 20 million US dollars in today's money. Couple bet. Cleopatra ordered a modest meal, and then her servants brought her a cup of vinegar. She then took off one of her peers, pulled out an expensive pearl, threw it into the vinegar, and watched it dissolve. She then drank a cup of vinegar, proving that she would do anything to win the bet. Modern scholars were skeptical about this story for a long time, but they conducted an experiment. After that, they took vinegar and pearls and did the same thing as Cleopatra. It turns out that the vinegar dissolved the calcium carbonate in the pearl, but this likely took longer than a full day. That's all. Tell me in the comments what surprised them most in Cleopatra's life. Thanks for watching. See you later.